Okay, these notes are mole to mole. Let's say you're trying to make some cakes. The recipe calls for 2 cups of flour and 3 cups of sugar for each cake. You want to make 4 cakes. How many cups of flour and sugar do you need? Okay guys, you should all be able to figure this out based on our last activity. Well, to figure this out, you multiply each ingredient by 4. That means you need 8 cups of flour and 12 cups of sugar. Kind of like what we did the other day. The same concept applies to chemistry. The balanced chemical reaction is the recipe that you follow. You need a specific amount of each ingredient to make the product. Okay, we're going to read the following equation. Right now it says 2H2 plus O2 yields 2H2O. But that's not really what it means. So let's write it down. This 2 here represents moles. So it's 2 moles of hydrogen reacts with, now there's no number in front of the oxygen. That means it's a 1. So reacts with 1 mole of oxygen, and it forms, see that 2 right there, to form 2 moles of water. Okay, so basically each equation, the big numbers in front of each, well, substance is a mole. So if it's a 2, it's 2 moles. If it's a 3, it's 3 moles, etc. Okay? Now, in order to do a lot of these problems, we have to know the mole ratios. Now, the mole ratio is the ratio of moles from one substance to moles of another substance in the equation. It's kind of how we solve how much of one substance do we need in order to make a certain amount of product, or in order to react with another substance in the equation. So let's go ahead and we're going to write down some mole ratios with this equation. Okay, so let's look at hydrogen to water. So it's 2 moles of hydrogen, and we put the little dots for ratios. If you remember when we did hydrates, we put the little dots for ratio. So it's 2 moles of hydrogen to 2 moles of water. Okay, we also have 1 mole of oxygen to 2 moles of water. And not only that, but we have 2 moles of hydrogen to 1 mole of oxygen. All of these 3 are going to be used in our conversion factors in our picket fences. So yes, guys, unfortunately, we're going back to picket fences. You absolutely and positively have to use a picket fence. Unlike the mole bridge where you could just do the multiplication or division without showing the picket fence, you absolutely and positively have to show the picket fence. Okay, speaking of picket fences, here we go. So our example 1, how many moles of hydrogen are needed to make 6 moles of water? Okay, so we've got 2 substances that we're playing with here. We got hydrogen, so I'm going to go ahead and circle it in the equation so I know which 2 I'm worried about. And then water, so we're going to circle that one. So when we make up our picket fence, those are the only 2. Now I like to write the mole ratio out to the side. You don't have to, but this helps me figure out which ones I'm doing. So I'm going to write this out to the side here. Now we're going to write a picket fence. These are mole ratios, so these are single picket fences. And as you know, in the first box, we always put what we're given, and we are given 6 moles of water. So we're going to put 6 moles of H2O here. Now, we have to put 2 moles of water and 2 moles of H2 in our picket fence in these 2 boxes. And if you remember correctly, in order to make something disappear, you have to put it on the bottom if it's on top already, because something divided by itself gives you 1. So this 2 moles of water we're going to put at the bottom, and that cancels the moles of water. And then we put 2 moles of H2. And now we're left with moles of H2. Okay, so then we do 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So take 6 moles of H2. Hopefully this is pretty simple so far. Okay, the next one. Once again, we have how many moles of oxygen, so I'm going to circle the O2, are needed to make 11.8 moles of water. So I'm going to circle this one. So this time it's a 1 mole of O2 to 2 moles of H2O. And no, you don't have to actually do this. You don't have to write the mole ratio off to the side. Okay, so let's go back to this. So we have 11.8 moles of water. So we're going to put the 2 moles of water on bottom. and 1 mole of O2 on top. Moles of water cross out. 11.8 divided by 2. And let's see, that is 5.9. So 5.9 moles of O2 is our answer. Okay, we got 2 more examples. So let's look at this one. How many moles of water, so we're doing water, can be made from 6.45 moles of hydrogen? Okay, so it's the 2 moles of H2 to 2 moles of H2O. 6.45 moles of H2, because that's what we're starting with. This time we're starting with moles of hydrogen, okay, not moles of water. So we stick the H2 there. So now with our mole ratio, we're going to put the 2 moles of H2 at the bottom and 2 moles of water at the top. I'm going to do this, and it's 6.45 times 2 divided by 2. They cross out. 6.45 moles of H2O. Okay. Okay, last example. This time I'm asking for how many moles of hydrogen are needed to react completely with 1.5 moles of oxygen. So 2 moles of H2 to 1 mole of O2. Write a little picket. 1.5 moles of O2 is what we're starting with. Put 1 mole of O2 at the bottom and 2 moles of H2 at the top. 1.5 times 2 is 3, so 3.0 moles of H2. And that's pretty much the end. What I'm going to do now is what's called a general picket fence, and you can use this every single time you're going from the moles of one substance to the moles of the other. Okay, so we're going to call this general picket fence. If I could write better, that would help. Okay, so in this case, there's certain information we put in each box. In the first box here, we put in the moles given in the problem. Okay, now this is where we put our mole ratio. And remember, the mole ratio comes from the equation, always. Okay, and it's the moles of our given substance. So the substance that's given in the problem is what goes down here, but it's from the equation. So moles of given substance from equation goes here, and the moles of, I call it the needed substance, is the substance we're looking for, goes up here, and this is also from the equation. Okay, so this would be a good thing to write down somewhere for our test. You'll probably get I don't know, an index card, both sides. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but you'll want to write the general picket fence down. Okay, so I guess I will see you guys tomorrow in class. Bye.